everyone. Welcome to Wealth Redefined. I'm your host, Michael Reynolds, certified financial planner and owner of Elevation Financial. Thanks for joining me today, as always. Today, the topic of discussion is how to organize your financial life. I'm a big proponent of financial organization. I think being organized is one of the most effective ways to make progress in your financial life. It can be difficult to stay organized sometimes. We have a lot of demands placed on us every day. Money is the underlying foundation in all of it, or at least most of it, I would say. And so, whether you need to find records for that medical bill you paid 2 years ago, or you need to figure out where your money went this month, being organized will really set you up for success as you work toward your financial goals. So we're going to talk about that today. There are a lot of ways to keep your finances and records filed and accessible for maximum visibility into your money and stay organized. And so we're going to talk about some of the ways to do that today. So first, let's start with filing system. Have a trusted filing system. Big fan of this. One of the most important ways to keep your financial records organized is to have a trusted filing system. So your financial filing system is where you keep important documents like, pay stubs and employer documents, tax returns, medical bills and records, insurance documents, estate documents, important receipts you might need, housing documents, stuff like that. Having a single trusted place for all your important financial documents means you have everything kind of at your fingertips in the event you need to access it for things like applying for a mortgage, reimburse yourself for an HSA claim, file an insurance claim, track down a donation. There's plenty of options for storing your documents. My preference is to use a cloud-based system like Google Drive, for example. This allows you to share documents with a spouse or a partner as needed. And it also helps keep your documents safe in the event that something happens to your computer. So I'm a big fan of cloud-based systems because, your computer can, crash or get stolen or get damaged. And you want to make sure that your documents are stored securely and safely. Google Drive encrypts data in transit and on the server, so it's pretty low risk. But it's a good idea to encrypt sensitive documents like tax returns with a password as an added security layer. So, make sure you use a password you can remember. And it's also critical to use a strong password on your Google account and enable two-step verification as well. So whatever system you're using, make sure you've properly secured that system. So some other cloud options include services from Microsoft, Apple, Dropbox. There's lots of other options. I just happen to like Google Drive, but there's no one size fits all there. So the important thing is use a system that is secure and that is easy to use. You'll also want to make sure that your filing system is structured for ease of use. So for example, a folder called taxes might hold your tax returns and all tax related documents. A folder called medical would hold your medical records. Your insurance folder would hold things like insurance policies. So make sure it's properly organized and structured with a good naming system so that you can find things easily. Next on my list for financial organization, embrace automation. Another great way to stay organized is to automate as many of your bills and transfers as possible. So you have a mortgage payment every month, put that on auto pay. Roth IRA contributions, set up a recurring contribution that happens on the first. The same goes for things like utilities, insurance payments, debt payments, anything else that can be automated. By setting up these automations, you can avoid the hassle of paying bills, so to speak, and also ensure that you don't miss any payments. Automation can also be part of the paying yourself first methodology, which means you're prioritizing the most important goals before anything else. So this will save you time, help you stay organized, help you stay consistent. Next, get visibility into your cash flow. So budgeting, I know, can be a very charged word for some of us. However, getting clear visibility in your cash flow is one of the most important things and impactful things you can do to make progress with your money. There's a lot of ways to budget. One of the most powerful tools that I'm a big fan of is called You Need a Budget, or YNAB, YNAB for short. There are alternatives as well, things like Mint, Monarch, EveryDollar. There are plenty of others. So while I don't recommend it, some people even use spreadsheets. I'm not a fan of spreadsheets because it can be clumsy for many reasons, but some people are successful with spreadsheets as well. So if detailed budgeting is not something you feel you can do right now, there's other types of budgeting. One is called reverse budgeting. A reverse budgeting is where you do all of those automations at the beginning of the month, and then everything left over is sort of your discretionary spending money. So you're kind of basically flipping the budget in reverse and giving yourself forced discipline by automating all the stuff at the beginning of the month. So no matter what style of budgeting you choose, you still need to pay attention to where your money is going. One quick hack that can help you with this is to set up your bank account to send an email or a text for every transaction. So this way you get real-time alerts whenever money is deposited or spent. Even if you're not doing a formal budget, this can help you stay aware of your cash flow in real time. That may seem like a lot, and maybe it would be a little bit distracting, but I think if you can try it for a while, those alerts that come in every time a transaction happens can really give you clear visibility into exactly what's going on in real time, and can make a big difference in kind of managing your spending. Now, personally, I don't use credit cards, but I realize I'm in the minority. I'm crazy. Most people use credit cards for just about everything, and you can do the same thing by setting up an alert for every transaction on your credit card as well. So keep that in mind. Next, organize your bank accounts. I think how you organize your bank accounts can have a really significant impact on how your money works. I've seen some people that simply have one bank account for everything, and I've seen others that have 17 different accounts sitting around, many of which have no clear purpose. So, generally, I think somewhere in the middle works best. The important thing is to be intentional about your banking structure. I generally find that 2 to 4 bank accounts all at different banks are ideal for most people. Now, hear me out. It may sound complicated, but hear me out. So, the first account is typically your operating account. This is your basic checking account, whether you're single or you combine finances with a partner or a spouse. This account is your household operating account. This is where income comes in and bills come out of, and you spend out of typically. Account number 2 is short-term savings. This is typically a savings or a money market account. This is where you store your emergency fund plus additional savings for things like big purchases. Your travel and vacation account. This is a checking account separately. I have a whole separate slew of content on this that talks about the advantages of a travel and vacation account, but this is where you save money into to build up a budget for travel and vacation so that it's separate from your budget. Because if there's one thing that blows stuff up, it's travel and vacation. And then if you're a business owner or self-employed, a tax account, which is typically a savings or a money market account where you put aside money for quarterly estimated taxes. So whether you're single or household, as a couple or hybrid, you can apply this structure. So again, operating account is your everyday account. Savings account is your short-term savings is emergency fund plus large expenses. As a side note, you can also use I-bonds for your emergency fund. I've got a whole separate article on that if you want to dig into it, but that's one thing that can be an advantage because you're kind of keeping your emergency fund out of sight, out of mind. So consider I-bonds for your emergency fund as well. So next on my list, use a password manager. Passwords can be frustrating for a lot of us. It sometimes feels like our whole lives are spent trying to log into various sites and getting stuck on those. So one of the best ways to reduce friction is to stay organized by using a password manager, which is a central location for all of your passwords. There's things like LastPass, 1Password, Keeper, Dashlane, NordPass. I'm not endorsing anyone in particular, but those are all some options. So a password manager can help you keep your passwords organized, but it can also increase your overall security by generating unique, strong passwords for every site you log into. So a lot of people that just use one password for everything, but that's insecure because if someone gets a hold of that one password, they can get access to everything. So you want to have multiple passwords for multiple sites. So password managers can go a long way toward keeping you organized. Next, keep physical documents in a safe. Just about everything in our financial lives these days is digital, but it is important to keep some physical paper documents. Some examples include social security cards, passports, notarized estate documents, birth certificates, marriage licenses, things like that. So stuff that you really need the physical document to hang on to. So the ideal scenario is to keep these documents in a strong fireproof safe, one location for all those things. So, since they're documents that loved ones might need to access in the event of your death or incapacitation, it's also a good idea to give the combination or a spare key to a trusted loved one so they can access those as needed. So those are some ways to keep your financial life organized overall. And I really think it helps you win with money when you keep your financial life organized. So there are a lot of paths to building wealth and reaching financial goals, but keeping your financial life well organized, I think, is really crucial for managing money effectively. It also has a side effect of reducing financial stress or minimize mistakes because you can make empowered decisions. All of your documents and data is readily accessible, reduces friction in your life when you need to access financial information, and really kind of sets a strong foundation in place for having a well organized financial life, which again has lots of advantages in terms of convenience, lower stress, and just reducing friction in your finances. I find that friction in finance holds a lot of people back in lots of little ways we don't always see clearly at the time. So, big fan of financial organization and staying organized. So, those are some ways I would do it to recap. Have a trusted filing system for all your documents, embrace automation, get visibility into your cash flow with budgeting, organize your bank account so everything has a clear purpose, use a password manager, and keep physical documents in a strong, safe, secure, fireproof safe in one location. So, this will help you stay organized. And if you do these things, I am predicting that you will have more success with money and lower stress, which is a good thing. We like that, right? So, all right. So, with that, I always love questions. So, if you have any questions or comments, you're always welcome to email me at podcast@elevationfinancial.com. And my website, as you may have guessed, is elevationfinancial.com. I help people every day with this kind of stuff with my clients. If you're not a client, that's okay. You can still ask me questions. I'll try to give you feedback and guidance as best I can for one off stuff. Or you can book a complimentary money session on my website. Again, that homepage has a friendly button where you can book that session, and that's at elevationfinancial.com. All right, with that, as always, happy you joined me today, and have a great day. We will see you next time.